Hi, I'm Milan Gandhi. We have developed an aircraft worth analysis tool. This is the executable. We'll open it. It'll take a couple of seconds to activate. So this is the tool, aircraft worth analysis tool, which consists of two applications: present worth analysis and future worth analysis. By definition, we'll go present worth method is a future amount of money converted to its equivalent value has a present worth value. This present value is always less than that of the actual cash flow. The second application, that's a future worth method, is used particularly on an investment situation where we need to compute the equivalent worth of the project at the end of its investment period. For both the application, we'll take a scenario where an airline is investing on a new route and deciding which aircraft to choose for their route operations based on an aircraft's annual expenses. Airline is deciding between Airbus 319-100, Airbus 320-200 and Airbus 321neo. Airline is expecting to replace old aircraft every 10 years, but they have decided to purchase this aircraft after leasing for 5 years and then buy the aircraft from the lessor to sell it at the end of 10 years. Airline has already gathered all the needed data to estimate the annual expense. So let's have a look at the present worth analysis first application, and then we'll have a look at the parameters. These are the parameters that has to be input by the airline. We have taken a scenario where this particular airline is going to buy a new aircraft, has a base monthly lease per month figures. What is the monthly lease they got to pay for the aircraft? Then the maintenance base cost per month, that's an estimated value. Maintenance cost is an estimated value per month, needs to be entered by an airline. Estimated cost, operating cost, that is per hourly cost of flying the particular aircrafts. And then the depreciation rate, that is based on the compound interest method. And then maintenance cost rate, that would be an annual increase, that is yearly. What would be the maintenance cost increase? Would be increased by the number of percentage. Then the fleet size, the number of aircrafts available for that particular fleet type. Then the fuel flow for per hour in pounds, the figures for that. Then the purchase year, that is what we just went through the scenario. So after 5 years they intend to purchase the aircraft. Then the cycle periods are basically based on the operating performance of the particular fleet type. So, and the other one is global variables, the daily utilization of an aircraft, number of hours they fly that particular aircraft, the fuel price per pound in dollars, and the airline target, that is minimum acceptable rate of return. We are in this scenario, we are assuming a particular airline is investing on this project of buying on leasing an aircraft and then purchasing it. So what would the airline have the minimum acceptable rate of return on this investment that needs to be added? And it can be also be done by a financial institution who would be interested in this particular project, and what would they expect from the this investment. So that percentage would be entered. Now there is a new row button and generate button. When I click the new row button, all the fields will be populated automatically. Right now I'm using on developers mode, where the developers keep on testing the various different data. So it becomes very easy for them not to input the values. It will automatically be populated. and then once it is this particular fields will be populated automatically, we click on the generate report button, and then we'll generate a detailed report on present worth analysis. So this, I'm just clicking on the new row. So these are the variables, basically global and aircraft variables, which will be input by the airline. Airline can choose their own their own figures to enter these values. So right now we have just chosen A319 100, A320 200 and A321 Neo. Let's say the airline, the new aircraft is costing A321 Neo is costing 125 million 90,000 $900,000. The similarly A320 200 is costing 49 million $50,000, and A319 is costing 43,500,000. So these are the values been input by the airline, assuming that. Then what would be the base monthly lease when they lease this particular aircraft? What would be the values? So that is entered. That the maintenance based cost per month values are entered for all the three aircraft types, and then the maintenance cost is also entered per month. So these are the estimated operating cost per hour flying a particular aircraft type for all the three fleet types. Then the depreciation rate applicable, which is on the compound interest rate method, would be input for this particular scenario, like yearly depreciation rate this will be. And then the maintenance cost rate, which is an annual increase in a particular annual increase of the maintenance cost. So annually it's been input 3.6% is increased annually for the maintenance cost. And fleet size, 10 number of fleet size numbers of aircrafts are there for a particular fleet type. And fuel flow per hour in pounds is this much. Purchase year in this scenario, as we have looked into, like it's the airline would purchase it, the lease aircraft after 5 years. First 5 years they will lease it, and then after 5 years they will purchase it, and the end of the 10 years they will sell this particular aircrafts to have generate the profit. So these are the cycle periods. Cycle periods are the ones which are based on the operating performance of the particular aircraft fleet type and aircraft. So for A319 it's 5 years, and then A320 200 is 10 years, and A321 Neo is got 15 years of cycle periods, because of the A321 Neo's performance, operating performance is much better than the rest of the two. Then daily utilization of this aircraft is 20 hours per day. Then the fuel price per pound per in dollars is 0.24, and the airline is targeting minimum acceptable rate of return is 15%. So this is what they are looking at. Now based on this data we will generate a report, and click on the generate report button. We'll save this file as a present worth excuse me, present worth, and this will be in the Excel format. We'll just click on it and we just go have a look. Yeah, the file, the present worth has Excel file is generated, which will give us the detailed report. So based on this particular input parameters, what we saw here, these are the input parameters. A report has been generated, and we'll have a detailed analysis of this present worth analysis application. The yellow highlighted cells are the ones which are input during this particular during this particular scenario. So this is what we input here. All this particularly has come here on the here in the yellow highlighted cells, and then we see all the calculations are automatically generated based on the formulas of present worth and future worth. So this is the way the report is generated. We'll have a detailed look into this. First we'll have this particular parameters, where the discount for purchase, if we buying up a fleet of 10 aircraft per fleet type, the discount is applicable, and it's basically from the manufacturer, aircraft manufacturers, the kind of discount they provide. And then there could be a discount on lease. If you are having 10 aircrafts on a lease, so there would be a discount for lease for the fleet size, and that is here mentioned. And then the discount for lease for the lease term, like if it is for a fixed lease term, then the discount rates would be based basically on that. That would be much lesser than the discount for the fleets for lease for the fleet size. And then we have the study period adjusted, that is the LCM is the least common multiple. So this is where this is the study period. At the end of it, we'll get the projection of the what's the present worth based on this particular study period of, that is 30. So, and these are the cycle multipliers. Basically this is calculated looking at we just entered the cycle period, say 5, 10 and 15. This is the operating performance of the particular fleet type. So it's 5 for A319, and then 10 years for A320, and A321 neo has got 15 years of cycle period. So based on the performance, when we add up all these three, 5 plus 10 plus 15, we get 30. So 30 is the study period. Here you can see 30 is the study period. And when we multiply 6 into 6 into 5, that is 30, then 3 into 10 is 30, then 2 into 15 is 30. So these are the cycle multipliers. So this part is calculated this way. Now we'll have a single aircraft breakdown where we'll go through all the parameters for a single aircraft, and then we'll have a fleet size breakdown, that is 10 number of we have taken 10 number of as we have entered here 10 number of aircraft per fleet type is there. So we will multiplying this particular all the values from the single aircraft into 10, and the same value after calculating into 10 we'll get these values. The same parameters are used. Now the next part, the sub scenario of this particular application is annual lease only. Annual lease is where the airline is having are leasing an aircraft on a fixed term. And then annual lease and purchase scenario, sub scenario, is where an airline which has leased a particular aircraft are going to purchase it on after 5 years, and it is on a certain term. And then we'll have a scenario, sub scenario of purchase only, annual purchase only. That will be based on the fixed term. First, it is the purchase is annual purchase is done on the fixed term basis, the aircraft which is been purchased from the lessor. So these are the three sub scenarios, and then after that we'll be having the calculations of present worth analysis based on the this sub scenarios. We'll have the analysis of present worth analysis for lease only, then lease, then purchase, there is a combination of first they release it and then purchase it. Here it is released throughout for period throughout the period. Here the scenario is first they lease it and then purchase it, and here the scenario is purchase only on a fixed term. So this is what we ultimately get the will get the result from here. What are the basically present worth of this particular 3 aircraft fleet types, and which one is best performance, which aircraft would be best performing in the scenario based on the annual expenses. So this is we'll go to the single aircraft now. Single aircraft breakdown, we'll see the aircraft. We'll just focus on A321 Neo, so we'll get an exact understanding of this particular calculations. Here if you look at it, the 125,900,000 was the purchase, a new aircraft was purchased. So when we do this particular breakdown, we apply the discounts here. So after the new aircraft which has got the discount will be around 120 million, and then this aircraft value purchase here is based on it's based on the depreciation rate purchase year and the original aircraft value, not this value which is discounted, but 125 million which is which we saw here. So this is on that based on this calculation. And then we'll have aircraft purchase value purchase year. This will be based on this particular value which is been discounted, and that will take into consideration the depreciation rate, the purchase year. And then we'll have this particular aircraft value for the end of the period, which will take into consideration the original value of that is 125 million, and it will be based on this particular value. And that would also have that would have the depreciation rate and the cycle periods and the original value of the aircraft. Then we'll have a salvage value at the end of the period, that is the estimate value after depreciation. Then we'll have the lease, adjusted lease. So the adjusted lease is the base monthly is a base monthly lease. Then the discounts which are applicable on the fleet size and the discounts which are applicable on the individual leases, like for the lease term, and that is multiplied by the yearly. So we are looking at into 12, it will be, so adjusted leases come. And then the maintenance based cost which is here, that will be maintenance based cost which we entered here, and that will be multiplied by 12. So we get these figures. Then the maintenance cost, same as what we saw here also, which we estimated maintenance cost. So this is entered and into 12. So all the 3 aircraft types, fleet type we have got it, but we're just focusing on A321 Neo. And then the annual maintenance cost increase, as we saw, we entered 3.6% annual increase, so that is adjusted out here. So then we'll have an annual fuel expense. As we saw here in the input, that we had entered fuel flow price per hour, then the daily utilization of the aircraft, that is 20 hours, then the fuel price, and into 365 when we are taking into consideration for the whole year. So this is the way annual fuel expense is calculated. And then we'll have annual operating cost. The annual operating cost is also calculated based on this particular parameters. That is estimated operating cost per hour, then the daily aircraft utilization per day into 365. So this is the way we get the operating cost values. Then we'll have the aircraft value adjusted for the new. Here we are going to take this particular aircraft value, new aircraft. Here we are going to take is into consideration what is the airline target minimum acceptable rate of return. This is 15%, and then we'll take into consideration the cycle periods, that is 5 years, 10 years and 15 years for three fleet types. And then we'll have the value of this particular value of the aircraft which has been discounted. So this is the way this particular calculation is done. Then we'll have a aircraft purchase adjusted for the new aircraft. That will also be taking into consideration the minimum rate of return and then the cycle period, and we'll have this particular new aircraft values here for here. This is the way it is calculated. Then we'll have aircraft purchase adjusted for the purchase year. So this is calculated based on the value of minimum rate of return, then the cycle period and the aircraft purchase value which we had it here. So this value will be taken into calculation, 840,000. So this is the way it is. The adjusted values are calculated. The salvage value adjusted would be for the end of the period would be the which you have you already calculated here. So salvage of this particular with 15% of AMR rate of return and the cycle periods are calculated. With that it is calculated. Then the annual base cost would be done by what we had entered here in the annual base cost here. Whatever we entered will be into 12. So that will be yearly. Then annual maintenance cost, that would also be entered from here. Annual cost, maintenance cost into 12, and then we'll have the annual maintenance cost adjusted. This is where the increase of 3.6% used. So that particular is a maintenance cost rate into cycle periods. So yearly annual maintenance cost calculations are the same as the one maintenance capacity. It uses 3.6% increase annually. 7, we'll have an annual fuel expense as annual expenses yearly. What we saw here, the calculation of annual expenses here. So that was calculated based on the fuel flow into fuel price into operating cost of on the daily utilization of the aircraft into we are taking the period now, it's for 12 months yearly. So then we'll have an operating cost for yearly based on the what we entered here, that is whatever the operating cost based on the daily utilization and the estimated operating cost per hour and into 12, that will be yearly annual operating cost. So this is a breakdown of the single aircraft. Now with the other section which is calculated is the fleet size breakdown. The same parameters are there what were there here, but it is multiplied by 10, as we saw here that we had input data for we have taken a fleet size of 10 aircrafts per fleet type. So it is multiplied, all the three fleet type will be multiplied by 10 number of aircrafts, and we get this values. So it is as similar as the previous section. Now we move down to annual lease only. This is basically a fixed term. It's a fixed term where the aircraft is been leased and from the lessor, and the initial amount is, so there are different parameters for this. This is the initial amount, which is actually, this amount is from the annual lease. This is the annual lease. So same amount comes here, the annual lease is the same, and then you have the maintenance cost, which is coming from here, what we entered, that is, these are yearly figures. So these figures are coming from this particular calculations what we did. So here it is, the annual 874, we'll just see, this is 84. So this is the figure, aircraft purchase value, that is for the, that is not the this is the value we are taking from this particular calculated values. So the annual maintenance is basically cost, annual maintenance cost we are talking about is calculated via formula of annual maintenance base cost minus annual maintenance cost minus annual maintenance cost adjusted, this three. So these three are taken into consideration to get this value. And then we have annual fuel cost, this is what we've taken from here. And then we have got annual operating cost, we have taken it from here, which is calculated. And then we have the annual overall cash flow, this is the sum of all the figures. So this is the annual lease, where this particular parameters are taken into consideration, and we'll use this particular parameters same way out here when we calculate the present worth analysis. Same parameters will be used for the lease only, the same way for the lease and purchase, and then we'll have the purchase only. So first we saw the lease part of it, lease only, and then we'll have the lease and purchase. Here the aircraft is leased first and then purchased at a certain term. So if the initial investment is the same what we saw here, this is what the annual lease is per year. So this is what is entered here, and then we have got mid-period purchase. Now this mid-period purchase is the aircraft purchase adjusted. This value is coming from this is coming from here, adjusted aircraft value. This is where it is coming from, this particular value. So this is the way this particular parameter is calculated, and then we'll have this is for the annual, we are looking at monthly yearly breakdowns. So end of the salvage figure is coming from here. You can see what we got it from the annual this is end of the salvage is here. So this figure is coming from here you can see. So this is the way it's taking up the calculations from the fleet size breakdown calculations. And similarly we'll be having the annual annual fuel cost, annual operating cost. So and then we'll have the annual overall cash flow of summing up all these particular values. So basically, these are the operating expenses a particular aircraft type is showcased, and based on this, we'll see one more scenario is the purchase one. So here the scenario is that the aircraft is leased first for 5 years, then it is purchased from the lessor at certain at a fixed term, and then the calculations are there. Here the parameters are the initial investment is the aircraft purchase adjusted value of the new aircraft. So this is coming from there. So we'll just go on top and check it out. This is coming from here, aircraft purchase adjusted value. So this was calculated already and it's coming there, as this scenario is a bit different from the rest of the other lease and the lease and purchase. Then the end of the salvage, what we saw here, end of the period, end of the year salvage calculation, and same with the annual maintenance cost, same here, and then the annual fuel cost, annual operating cost, and annual overall annual cash flow. So these are calculated based on this formulas, and then we'll have look at this is the three sub scenarios which we looked at. Now we really want to calculate the present worth analysis for the lease only, lease then purchase, and then present worth analysis for the purchase only. So here we're going to take we're going to take the parameters of the minimum rate of return, and then we'll go for the study period. So here finally we will be looking at the study period which was mentioned here, which was calculated here, that is 30. So 30 was this is the study period, along with the airline target minimum acceptable rate of return, and the each values. Say we'll look at each values, what were initial and investment, whatever was there. Let's say for the A329, so it will take from here. For lease only, it will take from this particular parameter will be taken from here. So this amount was also taken into consideration for the calculation. So this way all the three sub scenarios will be calculated. Lease only, the same parameters are used where we have used the sub scenario lease, and then lease and purchase, and then purchase only. But this is calculated via the present worth formula. So the figures which we come out, and then we'll do the then we get is the real figures for the present worth analysis. You can say it's let's have a look at the purchase only for the. These are the figures for 10 aircrafts, 10 aircrafts for each fleet type. Now to get it for better understanding, we'll look at what is the present worth of purchase only sub scenario per aircraft for one aircraft. So here it is 103,297,000, and then we've got another scenario of lease and purchase per aircraft for 10 years, study period of 10 years, with minimum accepted rate of 15%, and we get is here is 110 million and 110,717 and thousand. So here we get for lease only per aircraft after the study period of 30, the present worth is 107 million 276,000 dollars. So this is the way the present worth analysis is done, based on the parameters, based on the annual expenses, and we get this figure. So this is the way an airline can choose. If you look at the initial investment of is, for example, for A320 Neo, it was 125,900,000. So what is the present worth after 30 years, 30 study period, is 103 million to 97,000. The same way where about A320, it was the new aircraft was costing 49,050,000. What's its present worth for this particular? It's 110,717,000. And for lease and purchase, this is scenario. This was for the purchase only, and then this is for the lease only. It's 276,000 for A320 Neo. This is, we are just looking at the A321 Neo. So all these figures are for A321 Neo, which had an investment of 125,900,000, and whereas the per aircraft, these are the present worth for A320-200. So it was basically for 49,050,000 was where the aircraft was bought, aircraft value was there. So these three scenarios which give this particular present worth. And the same with 319 aircraft we've got lease only. It was 443 new aircraft cost was 43,500,000. So it is present worth is this much. So of all this, basically if you look at it, A321 Neo has a best aircraft present worth based on the operating expenses, annual operating expenses. So if an airline is choosing, wants to know about the present worth of that particular, in this particular scenario of 5 years of lease and then purchase, then this would give them the present worth. And this is the A321 has the best present worth from all for the rest of the two other fleet types. So this is the present worth application. We'll close this and save. And we'll go to the application here again, and we'll go to the future. We'll go back home, and then we'll take a second one is future worth analysis application. We have a look at that, and it's a similar application. This particular one variable is added is of the interest on finance PCM, but this is the same as what we saw in the written this particular airline target MMR. It doesn't take into consider either you airline is investing in this project of or the financial institution. If it is a financial institute, we can enter this parameter here. So just to showcase this particular, like there could be an airline or there could be a financial institution who would be interested in this project. So the same variables are there, and just we'll click and it will be populated, and then we'll with the same. Here the only difference is we are taking only one fleet type, that is one aircraft per fleet type we are taking. And the rest of the things like purchase years are 555, then cycle period, operating performances of this particular. So we've taken 5, 10 and 15 for a A320 Neo, and the rest of the all the annual increase and daily utilization, fuel price, and the depreciation rate, and the fuel flow and maintenance costs are all been input. So now what we do is we can just generate a report stating that it is future worth, and we'll save the same place where we saved this particular application report of present worth is the same one. And now we'll open this, have a detailed look. Everything is almost identical based on the calculation. Basically, the present worth would be using the present worth formula, whereas the future worth will be future worth would be using the future value formula. So that's the only difference. And then if you look at it, study period is the same. The discounts are not applicable out here because it's one aircraft type, and aircraft we are taking into the scenario. The rest of the things are the rate of return is 15% return expecting, the airline is expecting, and the same scenario of sub scenarios of annual lease, which is a fixed term, annual lease and purchase on certain term, lease term, and then the annual purchase. Here the difference is only the aircraft is taken at the beginning of the study period of 30 years. This particular purchase is done. So that is the only difference between present worth and the future worth. So this aircraft was purchased at the beginning of the study period of. So that is on the only differentiation. This is the study period. This is the study period. Finally, which will use the future value along with the target MMR. Rate of return, and the same way the results come for the lease only, lease then purchase, and purchase only. And if you look at the final figures, we'll look at A321. What's the future worth of when investing? This particular was how much is 125,900,000. That was a figure for the new aircraft. So when we look at it based on that, what would be the future worth? This is 750,005,384,000 is the future worth on the aircraft was for 125,900,000. After 10 years, this is after study period of 30. Its value of future worth is 750 million. The same way for lease and purchase, it is 861 million and 412,000 for A320 Neo. We've got 711 million 3,896,000. So this is after the study period of 30. We are getting this particular values of future worth. So this is the way an airline can, and similarly with A321, the same way all the calculations are done, and this is the future worth on the investment of say 49 million of 50,000, and its worth basically, and there is 500,000 for A3. 319,100. So what is the future worth is mentioned in this particular columns. So this is the way. It's a very handy tool for an airline where airline can choose to have a particular scenario where they can input this particular values and know the present worth and the future worth, and based on their own scenario of lease or purchase. There are three sub scenarios: either you lease, or either you lease and purchase, or either you just purchase, and what would be the present and future worth of this particular aircrafts. In the fleet size also, you can say individual, as we saw in the future worth. We just took one aircraft type and one fleet per aircraft fleet type, and calculated the future worth. So this is the application developed by us, and this could be a handy tool for the airlines. Thanks for watching it.